What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for tuning in. It's your favorite gamer, 99 Cent McFury, back with another episode of my mini series, Esports, professionally playing, and is it worth it? So, before we get started, of course, I'd like to give a quick introduction of myself for those who are new viewers. I go by the name of 99 Cent McFury. Been a professional gamer for over 25 years. Currently an esports coach for College of Lake County. Shout out to the Lancers. Shout out to my player Wild Panda. In Street Fighter 6 today, he won his match. So kudos to that. I always like to give shout outs to my my athletes whenever they play well and get that dub, because that dub is important. Also, if you're new to gaming and esports and you're trying to improve as a player, as an individual, trying to see what careers they might be in gaming, outside of gaming, and what have you, check out my website, 99 Cent McFury. Membership, 99 cents. Can't beat that. But definitely coaching, career opportunities if you're trying to improve as a gamer, a player, trying to see where you can take your skills at to the next level if you're looking for that. And if you're trying to earn some money, I do teach my members, how they can earn money through video gaming. So if you're interested, check out the website, 99centmcfury.com. Reach out to me directly. I'll be more than happy to get you on that right track. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, today is part 2, and we're pretty much going to be talking about the pros and cons of professional playing in esports and competitive video gaming. Okay? So, we're going to start off with the pros about doing this, because I always like to start off positive, So, one of the pros about being a professional gamer is you make money playing video games. So if you missed my first episode, check that out. I break down the prize pools and how much money is being put into esports from a earning standpoint via totals amount of money in tournaments and the top games that are being invested for these prize pools. So check that out. It's very enlightening. But yeah, you get to make money, earn money, doing something that you love, which is quite rare, to be honest. So that's the first thing. That's the biggest pro about competing professionally, is you get to do what you love. The second one is the potential earnings. There really isn't any cap on it. So you're not limited to how much you can earn professionally. Because if you go back to my first episode, I show you a website where you can actually check all the top 100 games that are being invested in esports. So if you put in the work, the earnings is endless. Also, the travel opportunities. Oh my gosh. You get to travel on someone else's dime. Of course you got to perform and stuff like that, but you get to travel pretty much for playing video games, So, back in the day, usually, and now one of the easiest ways to travel and explore the world is what? Join the military. You may get stationed in certain places here and there, and that's usually like the fastest way to see the world, pretty much. But now with esports and it's global, you can travel. The opportunities are endless. Me, for example, I've tried to stay within the states. Florida, Illinois, Milwaukee, Vegas with Evo. I've seen cities and states that I wouldn't have not had the confidence just to go out and just travel and explore. But with me competing, I get to see different states, different cities, major cities, and what have you. So that's another pro. You get to travel and potentially see the world. So, there's Evo in Japan. There's major esports tournaments all over. Prime example, there's a website here, Esports Illustrated. It's kind of like Sports Illustrated, whatnot. I don't usually like to promote websites, but it makes everything easier so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Big esports tournaments for 2025. And look, these are all major ones. Look, back in January, Counter-Strike 2, Denmark. Apex Legend 1, Japan. Counter-Strike 2, Poland. Like, this is just 3 already. Thailand. Singapore. Massachusetts. Argentina. Europe. Poland again. Romania. South Korea. And my birthplace, United Kingdom. And the list just goes on. Look at this. And these are upcoming ones. To be determined. But you can see, I've listed multiple countries. Dallas, Texas, state, Canada, Serbia, Germany, France, China. Like, how cool is that? So the opportunities for traveling is endless. So now that's pretty much all the pros about it, to be honest. I mean, it's quite, self-explanatory. You get to enjoy what you do, the earning potential, the travel opportunities. That's 3. That's good enough for me, right? Hopefully it's good enough for you too. Now, the cons. This is what people don't want to talk about. That has to be addressed. Because for all the good stuff, there's bad. There's got to be a balance somewhere, right? So, one of the major cons about professional esports playing is the competition. For those who are in the world like me, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Like, if you're passive or like an extrovert, I'm gonna be honest, like, unless you can turn that off and come out of your shell and be more of an introvert when it comes to that, like, don't waste your time, to be honest. Just stick to casual playing, because there's no sympathy out here, man. It's tough. Competition is tough, and it's global now, so you're competing against the whole entire world. So you might be the best player in your zip code, but outside of that, it's a big world. So just understand that it's highly competitive. You're gonna lose more than you win. Every once in a while, the stars line up and we get somebody that's just really good off rip in multiple games, and they're able to shine and make a name for themselves. But most of you guys, it's not gonna happen like that. It's a constant grind. And when you're not playing, I promise you somebody else is. So if you're a competitive person like myself, I'm like, yo, yeah, bring it. Like, I'm with it, perfect. You're gonna fit right in. But if you're kind of passive about it, you just, I don't know, don't even put in the effort. Don't even put in the effort, to be honest. So that's one. Another con that doesn't really get talked about is short career span, or what they call like player burnout. So the average pro player is around mid-20s from what I've gathered. Because that's the age that I was when I was competing in all my strive. I was in my early 20s. So burnout is a thing because you have to put in the time and effort. Like, this is going to be your life. Like, this is all you're going to be doing. Those who knew me back when I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, that's all I did. Went to school, played the games after school. That's all I did. I have a social life. They had to force me to get out. Or like my buddies would come over and they always knew I was home. They're like, how do you know I'm home? Like, bro, that's all you do is play the games. And for me, it paid off, you know. But they knew that I was at home playing games instinctively. Like, this is before cell phones. You know, they just knocked at my front door. Hey, I'm here to see Matt. Yep, he's in his room playing his game. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's all I did, you know. And then I would step out a little bit or whatever, have fun. But for the most part, that's all I did. And that's because I love the game, though. And there was no tournaments like this going on now. So I just loved gaming. And then when there was tournaments coming out, you know, I would come win locals, stuff like that. But that's all I did. That was literally my life. And I could do that because I really didn't have any responsibilities outside of work at that time, you know. So it worked out. But that's how much you have to put in. And nowadays, with the competition being so competitive, and because there's always updates and nerfs and buffs, you know, you can put time and effort into a season, be top tier, season changes, and you're no longer top tier. So you can get burnt out. And especially if you're on orgs, because there's a pressure of performance. So it's all performance based. So just keep that in mind if you decide to go that route when like you're trying to get on an org or what have you, that it's performance based. There's a lot of pressure. You know, the churn rate is real. So just keep that in mind. Another con, piggyback off what I just said, the psychological pressure to it. You know, we have so many devices nowadays, there's so many technology, it's you can psych yourself out a lot. So me personally, like even to this day when I'm entering tournaments, like I have a conversation with myself. That's one of my tips that I give when I coach. I'll give you a little nugget. Have a conversation with yourself, talk to yourself before the match. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I tell myself, okay, I'm playing this particular game. Don't be so aggressive. Let the game come to you. You know, breathe. You got this. You know, I have a whole conversation with myself. And just because of the psychological pressure, you know, the atmosphere, if you're not used to the atmosphere, all the bodies around, noise, there's a lot going on around your surroundings, you know, so it can get stressful. Your mental health is important, you know, so you got to take that in consideration as well. And I'm gonna be honest, not a lot of people that I've come across in the gaming community, they after one or two tournaments, they're out. They're already psychologically out. They're like, man, I can't do this, you know. And I'm like, really? After two tournaments? Like, come on now, you just scratching the surface. You know, you lose more online, and you still play. So that psychological pressure, I would say about 80% of the time, you're psyching your own self out. You know, you're putting doubt within yourself. Nobody's telling you you can't do it. You're telling yourself you can't do it. So just try to avoid that. But that psychological pressure is real. Physical health. That's another thing. Long gaming sessions, you know, may lead to health issues. And then depending on if you're sitting in a gaming chair like this and your body mechanics aren't where it should be, slouching, poor posture, eye strains, you know, like I don't know why I'm not wearing these, but you know, your blue blocker glasses to block the blue radiation. Like, this is important stuff, you know, while you're sitting there playing games and focusing, like, and pay attention to your body. Your body will let you know, hey, you need to stop. Eye strains, everything. You need to stretch after every match. Like, your physical health is important. My CLC athletes, they'll tell you, I make them go to the weight room with me, you know, push-ups, free weights. You got to hit the weight room. It's not for you to be super big, but it's just good for your health and it helps performance. So if you don't keep up with that, there's physical health risk behind that. So that's another con. Financial instability. Even as a pro player, everyone can't win. Somebody has to lose. So it's almost like this. You know, you can have a peak where you just win, and then it just kind of plateau, and then win, plateau. Before, you could be consistent and just, you have a good run. Like, yeah, all right, cool. Then I'm about, I did what I did, I'm good. But now, with, like I said, with updates frequently happening, certain communities complaining about a game because they don't like it, they fix it or change it, that interferes with the flow of money for you, you know? While other people are complaining about a certain attribute of a game, I'm loving it, I'm winning, I'm good. Y'all can talk all y'all want. Next thing you know, they update it and they're like, whoa, well, there goes my win streak, there goes my money, because everybody's and they listen to this stuff, social media. Now all of a sudden, like, well, that's not gonna work for me. I'm out. So just keep that in mind too. It's as much as you can earn, it's not sustainable. It's very rare that you'll be able to make a living only playing in esports. You're gonna have to do something else. Most of you guys, unless you're within an org, and then all you gotta do is perform, and then that's your job. You contracted in. But for the bulk of you guys, to be honest, like that's gonna be hard to do. So just keep that in mind. And that goes into my next one, the lack of job security. Like if you follow esports and understand esports, like a lot of orgs, they're not being sustainable after 2-3 years. I've seen some come and go. You know, I've had some approach me a couple times and I do my research and I'm like, ooh, y'all haven't even been around for the 5 to 10 year mark. Like I can't do it. You know, I have players that come to me and, oh, I got this contract with this organization. They want to sponsor me. And I'm like, what's their name? I get to Googling, look at their website. Their website copyright 2024. You might want to think twice about that. Or read the fine print. You know, so the job security isn't really sustainable from a career standpoint, you know, but the potential of the earnings is great. And then also, my last con that, you know, I think would be important is balancing life and gaming. Like you gotta pick one, to be honest. There's no such thing as, like, you're either all in or you're not. You know, so if this is the route that you want to take, just understand that you're not gonna have the typical life that your peers who don't game have. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was all in, you know, and one of the best ways to do it, if you're all in, because, you know, people work, go to school, it's like they can't balance it. You know, I have some players that I lost on my esports team because they have to work, you know. You got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, it's a choice. You can't really juggle the two and be successful. So, here's a little nugget that I kind of tell those who reach out to me and say, hey, I want to do this professionally. And I've seen them play, and I'm like, dude, you got a really good career lined up for you if you just keep the grind. So, I always ask, like, do you have your own place? You live at home with your parents? What's your situation? They're like, I live at home with my mom's. Okay, cool. Stay there. And then grind it out. Win a couple tournaments. And just let's say you enter a tournament. It'd be a local one. You win $300-400 from a local tournament. You're staying at home. You go to your parent and be like, here, mom, dad, here's $100. I want to give you to go towards food. And they'll be like, what? Where'd you get that from? Oh, I won it at a video game tournament, esports tournament. Really? Mm-hmm. They might even support you now because of that. So let's just say you enter like a semi-major or whatnot. You place, you come back with like $3,000. Here, mom, here's $1,000 for to go towards rent for the next 2 months. Hey, where'd you get that money from? Esports tournament? Yeah, I placed 5th and prize pool was $3,000. Almost got first though. First way gave me $10,000. What? They might even support you after that. They might say, whoa, that's what they're paying for? Mm-hmm. Go get your butt back in there and start playing. But balancing life and gaming, that tends to be what really stops the bulk of players who want to pursue this. Can you do both? Can I work a full-time job, go to school, and pursue esports? Most of you guys cannot. You gotta be all in. So if that's something that you want to pursue, you gotta have to kind of plan for it, and that's just part of life. So those are pretty much all my pros and cons when it comes to esports and professionally playing, and is it worth it? So I know the pros, there was less pros, but those lesser pros are big, are huge, and you don't even have to do it full time, because it's impossible to do that full time. So, it can be part time, and you still have the potential to benefit from all the pros of, professionally competing. So, just keep that in mind as well. But that's all I got for you guys today. So those are my pros and cons. Be sure to tune in on episode 3. It's going to get real juicy. I'm getting down to the nitty gritty and what it actually takes, the time and commitment and what you guys need to do. I can even show you I'm going to show you some of my regimen on what I do and what some pro players do. And it's intense. So stay tuned. It's your favorite gamer, 99 Cent McFury, and I'm out.